And we are live in 3, 2, 1, action.
It's me. I'm calling from Vienna. No, sorry, I'm calling from Prague. It's Prague. I'm pretty sure it's Prague. Anyway, look. Anne, I want to apologise. I realise how much I've hurt you, my sweet, sweet darling. And look, there's somebody on the other line. And I really, I'm sorry, but I really have to take this call. I'll get back to you.
Anne. Hi. Listen, I only have a moment. Are you there? No? Okay. Look, it's this. What were we discussing? You remember? Well, what about this? What about this? What about if, let's just say that the trees have names, okay? That's right, the trees. You think, I know. You think I'm crazy, but let's just accept for a moment, shall we, that the trees have names. Then what about if this was her tree? Shit. Sorry. Look, I have to board now, but think about that. The trees have names, and none of them is hers. I have to run.
You know who this is. You leave the device in small truck at the back of the building. You'll get the truck from Barry. Barry will contact you with more instructions.
Hello, it's Mum.
We know where you live, you fucking bitch. You're dead. The things you fucking did, we don't forget. You wish you'd never been born.
Anne? Hello, it's Mum again. Got your postcard. Looks very nice. And the photo, is that really you? Glad you're making friends and so on.
Summer. A river. Europe. Summer. A river. Europe. These are the basic ingredients.
And a river running through it.
A river, exactly. Running through a great European city, and a couple at the water's edge. These are the basic ingredients.
The woman.
Young and beautiful, naturally.
The man?
Older, troubled, sensitive, naturally.
A naturally sensitive man, but nevertheless, a man of power and authority. He knows that this is wrong.
They both know this is wrong, but they can't help themselves. Exactly.
They're making love in the man's apartment.
Making love in the man's apartment, a luxurious apartment, naturally with a view over the entire city. These are the basic ingredients.
Panorama of the entire city. The charming geometry of the rooftops, skylights and the quaint chimneys, and beyond the TV aerials are monuments of culture, the Duomo of Florence, and the Arch de l'Enfance, Nelson's Column, and the Brandenburg Gate, to name but 4.
The woman cries out. Her golden hair cascades as it were over the edge of the bed. She grips the bed frame. Her knuckles whiten. There are tears in her eyes.
The apartment is beautifully furnished.
And meanwhile, as you say, her golden hair cascades, as it were, over the edge of the bed. She grips the frame, her knuckles whiten, and her pupils widen, while he...
Let's say
Summer.
he grunts.
A river. You're...
Absolutely not.
The masterful grunt of a man who breakfasts on one continent and lunches on the next, who flies first class with linen napkins and a comprehensive wine list.
That kind of man.
That kind of grunt.
That kind of light.
What kind of light?
The kind of light that streams in through the tall windows, transforming their bodies into a golden mass.
A writhing mass.
The light. The golden mass. These are the basic ingredients.
But now, a look crosses her face.
A doubt. A look of doubt. Yes, good. Crosses Anne's face.
Even now, in the intensity of her passion.
Even now, in the intensity of passion, a shadow crosses her face.
A premonitory shadow.
Premonitory.
Premonitory shadow, yes. Crosses her face.
Later, night.
The lights of the city at night. Stringed lights, suspended starlight, along the quays and frameworks of bridges. Old dull red warning lights pulse over tower blocks and TV transmitters. The man, on his telephone, his lowered voice, his troubled glance.
Anne wakes up in a solid walnut bed. She hears his male voice in the adjoining room. The exquisite Louis Quatorze clock chimes free by the means of a tiny, tiny naked gilt shepherd, striking a tiny, tiny golden bell, held between the teeth of an enamelled wolf. No doubt a reference to the ancient myth, well known amongst 17th century French nobility, but now completely erased from human consciousness. 3 a.m. Anne wakes up. His voice, light cigarette, appears in doorways. Dialogue.
Who was it? She says.
Nothing, he says.
Who the fuck was it? She says. End of dialogue.
And now she's angry. Exactly. End of dialogue. And now she's angry. Exactly. Because she knows exactly who it is.
His political masters. Yes, that's right, calling him. Just as I have always called him. Very same political masters that she, Anne, hates with every fibre of her being. The very men and women that she blames for the injustment of the world.
The leaders who in her naive and passionate opinion have destroyed everything she values in the name of A, of business, and B, laissez-faire.
In the name of A, rationalisation, and of B, enterprise.
In the name of A, so-called individualism, and B, so-called choice.
In these words, the basic ingredient of a tragedy.
Form follows function.
The tragedy of ideology and love.
She stubs out the cigarette.
She begins to scream.
She begins to hit him with her fists.
She begins to bite him with her teeth.
She begins to kick him with her bare white feet.
She beats and beats and beats.
She beats and beats, and the exquisite clock, which has survived 2 revolutions and 3 centuries, is smashed to pieces on the polished parquet floor.
The tiny, tiny shepherd and the tiny, tiny bell, they all vanish into the walnut bed.
Until she stops for breath. Let's say she finally, at this point, stops for breath.
The woman,
Yes, Anne, a woman, stops for breath.
and he
Bows his head.
looks up at her,
Yes.
Takes Anne's tear-stained face between his hands.
takes Anne's tear-stained face between his hands. The shadow crosses her face.
Like a rugby football.
Like a precious chalice, or as you say, a rugby football, before a dropkick. He takes Anne's angry, tear-stained face between his hands full.
He still loves her.
For all their ideological differences, that's right. He still loves her. Speech.
One day, Anne, he says, you'll understand my world. One day, Anne, you'll understand that everything must be paid for. That even your ideas must be finally paid for. End of speech.
He kisses her and presses her back onto the bed. Or better yet, he presses her back onto the bed. She presses him. She presses him. Such is her emotional confusion, such is her sexual appetite, such is her inability to distinguish between right and wrong. In this great consuming passion, in the high-ceilinged apartment with the solid walnut bed and the polished parquet floor, the grand piano,
It's a great tragedy. Great tragedy of ideology and love.
These are the basic ingredients.
the whole past is there in her face. It's written like a history. The history of her family, the history of the land itself. The land that her family has lived on for generations.
It's a valley. It's a valley deep in the hills where traditional ways have been maintained for generations. And there are fruit trees.
Each child born in this valley has a fruit tree planted in their name. In fact, there's a kind of ceremony that takes place on the birth of each child.
The trees has name.
Trees have names, and so do the blades of grass. Because the blades of grass, life is so precious, life is so felt. Things that are alive are so sacred that even the blades of grass have names. It's something that we can hardly comprehend.
We can hardly comprehend this sacred life. This sense of completeness is beyond our understanding. This sense of awe humbles us. But now, devastation.
Devastation, where 1,000 generations of harmony and traditions have been destroyed.
Devastation. Women have been killed, buried.
Brother has killed brother. Cousin has murdered cousin. Brother has raped sister, and now the dogs are picking at the remains. Tractor petrol has been used to set people alight.
Burning people, blazing between the fruit trees that bear their names, scorching the leaves, writhing on the grass, while the soldiers just stand by laughing.
Soldiers are laughing, even though these are their own families, mothers, and fathers.
Parents has been burnt. People have been buried alive, choked up to their neck. Their head has been smashed. There's a name for that.
The flower.
And it's all there in her face. In Anya's face. We don't need words. She's beyond words. In fact, her mouth trembles, but no words come.
The inadequacy of words.
inadequacy of words as she stands by a tree covered in delicate white petals.
A plum tree covered in delicate white petals. This is the moment.
The moment we realise that yes, this is her tree.
Anya's tree.
Anya's tree. Planted what? 40, 50 years ago on the day of her birth. The hole dug by her father. The roots spread out by her mother and cared and tended for by her family for generations. Now lie dead.
Her very own tree.
The air smells of petrol.
It's spring.
A panorama of the whole valley. The trees. The grass. A bee crawls into the cup of a flower.
And now she speaks.
Yes, because she must, because she is standing there beside her own tree.
The trees give her strength to speak.
She is standing by some charred timbers. That, she says, that was my home. My children were hiding under the bed. They killed them both. First the boy, then the girl. They set light to my little girl's hair. It crackled like a pile of sticks.
And then she breaks down. Actually, I don't think so. I don't think Anya screams or breaks down. I think her eyes blaze. I think she advances towards the camera and begins to curse.
You motherfucking shit-faced murderers, she says.
Yes.
You pig-fucking, cock-sucking bastards. You sister-fucking, blaspheming, child-murdering, mindless fuck-faced killers. I spit on the graves of your mothers and fathers and curse you for all future generations.
She's angry.
She has every right to be angry. She's devastated.
This is why we sympathise.
Not just sympathise, but empathise.
Empathise because Anya's valley is our valley. Anya's trees are our trees. Anya's family is to the family which we all belong.
It's a universal thing in which we strangely recognize ourselves, our own world.
Our own pain.
Our own anger.
A universal thing that's so strangely... What? What? What?
Strangely restores.
Which strangely restores. I think it does. Yes.
Our faith in ourselves. And that's a wrap, guys. Well done.
The headphones fell forward, so I could not hear any of the last question.
Oh.